So, welcome back to another edition of the Players First podcast. It's been a while, I'm not gonna lie. Crazy times. Uh, what I'm doing in this little series is I'm catching up with my former teammates from last year who are now on NBA rosters. And first, I got today a fan favorite, Mr. Nathan Sestina, uh, who signed with the Brooklyn Nets as a undrafted free agent. Nate, how's training camp going? What's it like being around KD, Kyrie, playing for Steve Nash? Exciting times.
Yeah, man. Really grateful for the opportunity to be in this situation and get my foot in the door in the NBA, and it's a dream of mine to play there. So, uh, you know, going going and watching the draft in Las Vegas, and seeing some of my teammates get their names called, and then finding out that some of my other teammates were able to sign contracts afterwards was a big, not sigh of relief, but a big, like, for me as a leader for a team last year. You watch a bunch of young guys get to see their dreams unfold as well, and get their foot in the door and just chase their dream. And for me, and to be in this spot is incredible. You get to be around two of the best basketball players in the world, and one of the best point guards of all time, one of the best basketball minds of all time, as a player. And then it's interesting I'm excited to see how he coaches as well. And Coach D'Antoni as well, and being around Amari Stoudemire has been great, and Ryan Forehand Kelly's been helping me out with my skill development, and just working on fast feet, fast release, and just being able to guard guards, and just being ready to shoot at all times and not standing straight up. And 'cause in college, I'm going back and watching, I find myself standing up a lot and not being ready to shoot. So when you catch it, you're up and then you shoot. So just being ready at all times, because you never know when that pass is going to come to, especially out of Kyrie's hands. He's going to be driving and he'll just zing one to you.
Yeah. Well, also, I just now realized you've had the good fortune of playing with two of the greatest point guards who both wore number 13. Me last year, and now you're with Mr. Steve Nash, two-time NBA MVP.
Hey, I'm in good company. I mean,
So before you got to Brooklyn, you went over and tried to play in Russia
yeah.
because of the pushback season before the draft. I know, like, that was a really great opportunity, but it didn't really end up working out. What happened with that situation?
I went over there as a replacement for a kid who broke his arm, and it was an incredible opportunity in a really good league, to start my career. And it was only like a 2-month contract, and I got over there, and the league was having a little bit or some issues with COVID, and I got over there, practiced for like 5 days. I felt like I really adjusted pretty well. Fast pace, lots of ball screens. I think the thing that I struggled with the most was jump passes. Like, guys would go to jump to shoot, and I would like watch it, and then I'd get hit with a ball. But I adjusted pretty well. And then after about 5 days, we had to quarantine for like 3 weeks. And by the time that rolled around, and by the time like we would have been able to play, I would have only had like 4 days left on my contract, and I would have hopefully been able to play like 1 or 2 games. So it just really, and my whole part of the process was to come back and get my foot in the door in the NBA. And my agent and I really discussed it, and we kind of sat down pros and cons of each situation, and we decided it was best to come back here and start preparing for that next step. So I came back, and I went to Las Vegas and worked out at Impact again with Mr. David Mata,
Yeah.
and Joe Bunasar and Coach Mike and all those guys. So it was a really good opportunity to just get back and really get after it and start training again.
Talk about what it was like when you signed your contract with the Nets. I mean, you're from Emporium, Pennsylvania. Not a huge city. Played your first 4 years at Bucknell. Obviously, a very, very, very good program. And then you take a step up in level play. You're at Kentucky, and now you find yourself signing an NBA contract. That must have been, a surreal feeling. What was going through your mind?
Man, I just got chills thinking about it. I remember I was sitting in Vegas, and the draft was over, and I had no real expectation for anything other than just at the end of that day, I had a goal that I was gonna, be with a team. Um, and so when the draft was over, like literally after Brooklyn had the 55th pick, um, like right after they chose, I think it was Jay Scrub,
Sounds right.
and then he got traded to the Clippers for Reggie Perry. Like right after that pick, like both of our phones rang, and um, it was the Nets, and they were like, "Hey, like welcome to the Brooklyn Nets. Like we've already talked with your agent. Like let's get this thing going." And I was just like, it didn't hit me, and then I was just like, I kind of leaned back, and I was like, oh my god, like everything that I have, all the hours in the gym, all the like little like blood, sweat, and tears that went into this, like paid off. And to be in a spot like this, and to be around a lot of the, like I said, some of the best basketball minds and some of the best basketball players, like, and watching these guys work out, and like watching Joe Harris shoot, and just watching his footwork, how fast his release is, and like the unconscious release, like that's the stuff that I need to work on, and things that I need to really hone in on. And to be a part of that is incredible. But to represent me and represent my family, and put Emporium on the map is a big deal for me. I don't really talk about it a lot, but it's just something that I kind of carry with me everywhere I go. And one thing that my siblings and I kind of talk about is bloom where you're planted, and that's kind of like our little quote. And I think that that's something that I try to do everywhere I go, like no matter where I am. Like if I have to pick up and move, and then wherever I land, like try to pick right back up where you left off, and leave your mark everywhere you go.
No, no, you mentioned your family, and you have a very close knit family. I was fortunate enough to meet your parents, meet your sister, meet your brothers. Uh, what was their reaction like when you told them you were signing with the Nets? I mean, I can't imagine the joy that they were experiencing for you.
Oh man, my parents started crying, so I started crying, and then my sister's uh, my sister Jen, who doesn't stay up past 9, was awake and watched the whole thing. And I FaceTimed everybody, like in a big group FaceTime, and they were all just like, like you did it, but like now the real work starts. Like you were able to get your foot in the door, but like, are you gonna let it shut? Are you gonna, like that's just kind of how we are. Like awesome, like you did it, but like let's go. Like you gotta make it. You got to keep going. But to hear like like I don't even know, like the just pure happiness from like my mom and dad was just because they've given me everything so far, like, all the AAU trips, all the camps, all the travel, all that stuff, like the miles on the car, all that stuff is, hopefully going to pay off here soon. And uh, just to hear that in their voice was something special.
Yeah, no, I knowing your family too. I don't think your family cares that you're playing in the NBA because the money or the prestige of the league, but just because they know that's what you've been trying to do for a long time now, and I think they're just genuinely happy for you. And I don't know, I love your family, just really good people. So
Appreciate
I
you,
hope
man.
I hope to run into them soon. But shifting gears a little bit to actually being in training camp now with the Nets, you've been there for a couple days. I know with COVID and everything, it's a weird year as far as training camp goes. But just talk about your experiences so far, what it's been like watching, participating.
Yeah, so I a lot of my stuff has been individual workouts. I mean, the NBA is real strict on COVID protocol. Like, you're not allowed to have a certain number of people like on the court at once. And uh, if like the other day started small group stuff, so it was a lot of, or today. So like there's small groups and like group workouts with like position wise, and a lot of this stuff was just I I I came in and they have like a real set plan for me and how they want to develop me, and kind of develop me the way that fits their offense and fits their defense. And um, not just a forward or a back to the basket player as much as fitting their style. Being a stretch four, um, and then being able to guard fives, being able to guard pretty much 1 through 5, but just being around skill development guys, and stepping outside of my comfort zone, pushing the limits of conditioning and shooting. And I really feel like I'm back. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm back with Kenny Payne, the way we run and shoot. But
Ooh, I don't know if you're allowed to say that now that he's with the crosstown rival.
I know. I'm happy for Quick, but I also feel for Quick because I know he's running. But no, man, I'm excited because it makes me take a step further in developing myself. I gotta take that next step if I want to make it and I want to stick.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, got you.
Dang. I don't know what happened.
No worries.
What was the last thing you said? Just like, what's it like being in training camp?
Yeah, the last thing we were talking about was you were like talking about taking the next steps. Like, they wanted you to guard 1 through 5 and
Yeah.
the development plan.
Yeah, and just and I think developing a fast release, and everybody always talks about when people ask what's your player comp, like who do you see yourself as, and everybody wants to talk about NBA All-Stars right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing that I did a good job of in my interview with them was I talked about like a lot of role players and a lot of role guys, and everybody obviously, you want to be like, oh, Kevin Love, LaMarcus Aldridge, all these guys. It's like, I'm not them at all. So I started, role players, and they loved it. And then now it's like, who can you shoot it like? And I think Ryan Anderson was a guy that I said that they were like, thank you. Like, yes, be a guy who sets hard screens and then just get out of there. And then when you catch it, your feet are set and you're just letting it fly. So the other day I was watching a little bit of film on Ryan Anderson. And so the next day, like, I watched film right after my workout for like just 10 minutes. It was just a bunch of different clips of his footwork and just how he was always ready and like kind of hunkered down. And as soon as he got it, it was like, it didn't matter if you were closing out. And that's like I was trying to say before it cut out. Like, I always struggle with pump fakes.
Mm-hmm.
My coaches at Bucknell, oh my God, dude, every time I pump faked, I had to run. Unless it was warranted, but like other than that, like I was running. And so like Ryan Anderson's just like boom, boom, catch it, like doesn't matter. Because most of the time people aren't going to jump this way. They're going to try to jump to the side. So they're not even going to hit the ball. So just boom. And then the next day, like, I worked on all of those shots.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they were within the offense and stuff. And But just a lot of reps, a lot of game speed reps. And it's what the biggest focus for me is. I'm not going to be a 48-minute a game guy. Like, like I said, I'm not a superstar. Can you play hard for however long coach wants to keep you in 2-3 minutes? Boom, get in, get out. Can you get up good shots that are within the offense? And then do you buy into your role? And I'm like, what I've done my whole life. So I think, I'm in a really good spot. I'm super thankful. My agent did a fantastic job. And I'm very thankful for that, and just really grateful for the opportunity to, get better. And I think that's one thing that I'm starting to see each day is like, everybody thinks these guys are, these like godly people, but it's like, dude, they're people.
Mm-hmm.
They like video games. They like watching football. They like shoes and fashion. And then like, they're just very, very good at basketball. Like that's their job. So it's like, that's how they pay their bills, and other people pay theirs different ways. So being around them is pretty cool, because they talk a lot of crap to each other when they're shooting in drills, and like when they're working out and stuff, and they talk to themselves the same way we do. Like if I miss a couple shots, I'm like, all right, come on, Nate, let's go. Kevin Durant shooting corner threes, and he'll run off 10, 15 in a row, and then he'll miss one. He'll be like, oh, come on, KD. And it's like, well, you just made 15, dude. So I think 15 for 16 is not bad.
Yeah, not at all. Speaking of your teammates, what's it been like? Have you dealt with Kyrie much?
Not as much. And I met him actually during COVID testing one of the days. He's very quiet, and then before practice, I felt like I interrupted it. Like I think he was like meditating before practice, kind of getting in the zone. And I walked by, and I was just kind of walking through. I was like, "Hey, like I'm Nate. Nice to meet you." And he just kind of looked up. He's like, "What's up? I'm Kai." And then like dapped me up. And then I really haven't like talked to him or seen him since. I was like, "Oh no, hopefully I didn't mess anything up there."
Well, obviously, one of the most personable people I've ever met. So once you and Kyrie do become friends, tell him Riley Welch from the 4-on-4 that he lost to Austin Rivers and company says hello. He was not happy that.
But he's one of the best layup makers I've ever seen.
Yes, and I think someone we both are very familiar with, Tyrese, is one of the few guys I think is comparable to him in that respect, which is one of
absolutely, dude.
Tyrese will have such a fantastic NBA career. But back to you, I think Brooklyn's a great spot for you, because I think Brooklyn is one of the more intelligent organizations in the NBA. Like they seem to have a plan and a structure, and are building a good culture for what they want to do. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they've picked up a couple great free agent acquisitions in the past couple of years. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Nate Sestina. But even going back to last year, the conversations me and you had, you talking about not being a superstar. We just talked about there's different ways to make it in the league, and someone we always talked about was Duncan Robinson, and went from not starting at Michigan as a senior, and then 2 years later he's starting in the NBA Finals. Like we didn't even know he was going. Like this was kind of before he really blew up. Like
yeah,
time he was starting for the Miami Heat, which were the 5th place team in the East, which was still amazing, but considering he ended up having a great run in the playoffs as they went to the finals, a lot more people knew about him. But I just think that's I could see you following a very similar path to Duncan. Not that you're going to play the same role, shoot at the same volume, whatever, but just someone who I think has a lot more to offer than what you were able to show in college at certain times, just due to injuries and other things beyond your control. And then like you said, your own unwillingness to shoot as much as you probably should have, being the constant teammate. Yeah, I've been watching some film, and I see you, and you'll have a wide open jumper, and you'll always throw the one more to someone who percentage wise should one more.
Nah, man, it's just I think that's just kind of how I was how I was raised as a kid too. Like you got to be a good teammate, and in any sport that I played when I was a kid, I was the same way. Like when I was little and I would play baseball, and I was bigger than everybody. So I'm pitching and I'm just throwing as hard as I can because like that's what I know. And then all of a sudden, like one of my friends steps up and like I let him hit one, I let him hit two, and then all of a sudden they're back in the game, and I'm like, wait, what? So I love my mom, and I love the fact that she, preaches that good teammate. But sometimes it nips me in the butt, just not even on a personal thing, like because I'm not seeking out any personal accolades, but just trusting my training a lot. Like I said, like you said, like you'll be wide open, and then you'll throw that one more just because you hear it. Like it's so instilled. Like if you hear that, pass it instead of like, okay, man, I feel like I have.
Yeah, you shot 45% from three. I'll say it for you.
Like just shooting the ball well, and I think that that's something that I have gotten a lot better at since I've gotten out of college. Like if I played in college now and I played with Kentucky now, like I would feel way more comfortable just with how much I've worked on it, shooting threes and shooting certain shots, having the ball in my hands a little bit more, putting the ball on the floor a little bit more. And I'm no point guard. I'm no Giannis bringing the ball to court at the 4 position, or the 3, whatever. I don't even know what he is, but just bringing it up a little bit, and then like pitch aheads, gets, and all like away actions, all that stuff. So I've gotten a lot more confident in my ability to shoot the ball. And you and I've talked about it last year. Like that's a great guy to follow, and that's just somebody whose effort and energy was unmatched because he played so desperately at all times because he was like, I have to make it. And like, look at him. He's always, there's no question whether or not he's on the team this year.
Yeah, he's going to make quite a bit of money.
Yeah, he'll be just fine.
Well, Nate, what's the last question I'll ask you? What's the thing you miss most about college, campus, Lexington, playing for Kentucky, since you've obviously started your professional journey?
I think just being in our little confined space, whether it was a lodge or the locker room, the training room, weight room, like seeing the faces, like I miss Rob so much. Like Rob was my guy. Every day I lifted with him, whether it was core, even just stretching, getting in there, having Rick Ross playing at all times. So like when people walked into the weight room and Rick Ross was playing, like they knew it was me and Rob. Seeing Jeff and then the coaching staff and somebody who I've gotten really, really close with, even after I left, was Joel. Joel probably catches up with me once every 2 weeks, and it'll be a good conversation. And he's just one of those guys that he cares about you outside of basketball, and I think that that's something that my coaches at Bucknell do too. Like my 3 of my assistants have reached out to me, every week for the last 2 months, checking in. How are you doing? How are things going? And it's not like hopping on any sort of like bandwagon. Like these are people who genuinely care about me. They ask about my family. They know about everybody. And Coach Cal, I mean, I'm gonna miss Camp Cal, the 2-3 days over winter break. You wake up at 8 a.m, you have breakfast in the lodge, you practice, and then you go eat lunch, and then you practice again, then you go eat dinner, and then walk through again. Man, I'm gonna miss it. But
Camp Cal, starting tomorrow.
But it's and seeing the guys every single day, dude, like especially over winter break, I was coming off my wrist injury, so that was something that I was like, I want to get back. And my teammates like Ashton and Tyrese and Quick, Johnny, Keon, and Nick, like all those guys were so like, how are you doing? Like, how's the wrist? Are you getting better? When can you play? And that was just something for me to like push and push and push. And when I was in rehab, because I was like, man, like Jeff, I want to get back to playing, like to be with them. And it sounds corny, but like you spend all your time with these guys and you grow really close to them. And, when they're like, hey, like, we want you to come play, like, I want to play too. And obviously, being around the team and getting our individual workouts in and doing all that, and then what you and I had a really good schedule set up in this that's late winter break, spring semester, start with working out in the morning and stuff, watching film, or even just hanging out like in your room and watching games. Like that's the stuff that I miss, because it is a lot of camaraderie, but it's like I said, it's a lot of stuff outside of basketball, and checking in on each other and making sure everybody's good.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference this year. Just because of COVID, not even really being afforded those opportunities is, pretty
Yeah.
disappointing. Obviously, we have a very new team, but, we've only been in our locker room for 3 weeks. And as, goofy as it sounds, like sitting around, in the locker room, before or after practice is kind of how you get to know people, how, you talk, you laugh, like, that's where friendships are formed. And, only a certain amount of people in there at a time wearing masks, like you're in and you're out, then you're onto the court. And so it's just it's a lot different. But Nate, thank you so much for coming on and letting everyone know how you're doing. We're all
Yeah, absolutely.
big
Thanks, man.
fans
Thanks for
now.
having me. Thank you for having me, dude. I appreciate it.
What have you been up to? How's training camp going?
Man, it's been same as like first day of college, really. Stuff being thrown at you. Some of it you don't know what they talking about. Stuff's moving fast. You get home at 9 o'clock after a 2-a-day, wake right back up at 7 a.m. for the next one. So it's just crazy, but it's been fun though. So I'm having a lot of fun learning new stuff.
Have you found an apartment? Are you in a house? Or are you in a hotel?
Apartment. I'm in an apartment right now.
Long term or short term?
I think I'm gonna stay here for the rest of this year.
Nice. You like it?
Yeah, it's a lot of space. So,
White
and the two bedrooms.
White Plains, or are you in the city?
I'm in White Plains.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's so obviously, how's it being with KP every day again?
I just worked out with him last night. It's the same stuff, man. It just feels like I'm at Kentucky again, honestly. Just messing with him and stuff in the training room, hearing his voice and stuff like that. If I miss a shot, he's looking at me like I'm crazy. It's the same stuff. It's great, though.
So obviously, like you, this has been a crazy time for everyone, but especially for you and the rest of the guys going through the draft process. Where were you most of quarantine? Where were you doing your workouts? Where were you staying? Stuff like that.
For me, I was in Maryland. So if we ended like March 16th, 18th, I went straight home. Was in Maryland. It's crazy. I was in Maryland for basically until I want to say like I don't even know the months. Was probably there till November, like November 1st, and then for 2-3 weeks I was in New York working out, preparing for the draft and stuff. So I was basically home the whole time.
Makes sense. When the Knicks drafted you, how did you have any idea that you like what was did you have an intuition you thought they were pretty interested in you? Because obviously, like going into the draft, everyone, like I'm sure all the guys who have been through the draft before, they'll tell you like I thought they liked me, but like you never know what's going to happen. Like there's so many moving parts. Did you think it was a possibility you'd end up with the Knicks?
I didn't. I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't know I was going for sure. So like, and then another thing that happened was I worked out for Boston, who had the 28th pick. The Knicks had 29. Worked out for Boston and made basically like every shot. Like I barely missed the whole workout. So I think word like got out, and then once that happened, the Knicks moved up to 23. So I had a feeling they were trying to get me. And basically what happened was they said, they were going to get me at 23, but then Dallas gave them something like money and another pick. So they moved back to 25 to get me. But if I didn't go to the Knicks, I knew I was probably going to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was pretty comfortable, but it was still a nerve-wracking night. I'm not even going to lie to you.
No, I can't imagine. I was so excited for you guys, man. Like you especially, the jump you made from your freshman year, sophomore year.
Exactly.
I was actually reading an article today. I think you have the second highest scoring increase from one year to another under Cal at Kentucky. First is Tyler Ulis. I think he was like 11.2.
His was crazy too.
And then yours was like 10.9. And then I didn't realize Nick was third, right behind you at 10 points a game. So
that was this year too, right?
Yeah. So I was just so happy for for all for you and Nick especially, like making such big leaps, and now I have a couple rich friends. But how was it, like, how was draft night going through that experience with your family? Like, obviously it's well known. You have the coolest, closest knit family ever. Aunt Michi, your mom, your sister, just tons of love in that family.
It was just it was cool. I mean, it was like everything you kind of dreamed of and dreamed for. So it was just good to have my little sister, my mom, grandparents, Amici, my uncle, everybody, So I had fun, enjoying that night with them. Hadn't seen them for a good minute, so it was good to just, kick back and, decompress and, have that moment with them. So it was cool.
You were back in Maryland with them, right?
What'd you say?
You went back to Maryland to watch the draft with them, right? Or were they up in New York?
Nah, they came to me in New York.
Big time. So obviously being a first-round pick is huge. Like, I think, I've been vouching for you to be a first-round pick for a long, long time.
Right.
And it's like, that wasn't, I always felt that you were more than deserving of a first-round pick. But like, looking at the mocks, looking at, different rankings, there weren't a ton of people that had you going in the first round. So how surprising was it to you that you ended up – I mean, I can't even say that question. I know you're not going to be surprised by it. But, like, I felt very vindicated when you went 25. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Nah, but for me, I mean – obviously I'm somebody who's big on faith. So even though I was seeing like all the mocks, I'm like, wow, they really don't think like, so it's like, I mean, you see it, but you don't let it bother you. You just keep working. You know me, it's just what if I would have won the second round, I'd have still went to work the same way I would have went if I would have went number one pick in the overall. So for me, it was just, don't even worry about it, just continue to work hard and things like that. So, but no, I feel like I'm in a great situation in New York. Like you said, I got KP. I feel like I got a great front office and great coaching and teammates and things like that. So I've just been, working and ready to get started.
What's it like? What have your conversations with Tibbs been like? I mean, I think he's, now that this is really the first time I'm thinking about it, but I can't think of a coach who you fit more as a player. Just, Tibbs obviously likes playing his guys a lot of minutes, likes guys who play both ends of the ball, tough guys. And obviously you and Jimmy Butler don't have the same, game on the court, but I think a lot of Jimmy's mentality is something to have. And so I think obviously Jimmy was, great and blossomed under Tibbs in Chicago. So I could see a very similar path for you with him.
Yeah, and he actually talked to me about Jimmy Butler. Like you said, obviously not the same type player, but just the fact that, his first year, he didn't really get opportunity to play a lot. He was kind of behind Luol Deng and a couple of guys. So, but he kept working and working and working, and one day it just like all clicked for him. And now you see he's an all-star. He's one of the best players in the league, one of the best two-ways in the league. So he just stresses to me about that process of just continue to get better. Same thing in college, continue to get better, working hard, continue to learn. And I think that's just the formula that anybody should go through and try to use. So
I completely agree. And that's, one thing I think people, I don't know if they necessarily know this about you, is just the thing that impressed me the most was obviously like the basketball was great, but we played Ohio State and Utah in Vegas, and took a couple tough losses, and we ended up on the same flight. We were going home. We ended up on the same flight from Vegas to LA. Like I was going to LA with my sister, and you were some reason had to go from Vegas to LA to Maryland. And I was like, man, like I'm so worried about this team, like just lost, like and you had two of your worst games of the season. Like just, you had an unbelievable year, not your best week of the season. Right. And I know if I were you, I would have been like freaking out, I'm never going to blah, blah, blah. And, I was asking you, I was like, how do you feel? Like, it's fine. Like we'll be ready by March. And came back from that moment and were literally the best player in college basketball. Like didn't have a single game in single digits, averaged like 20 a game. Like if you had played the first, 7-8 games of the season at the level you played at, you would have won National Player of the Year. Like, I know you're a fellow rookie with the Knicks, Dick, but he would have been runner-up. So that's all something I think will serve you very well in the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so tell me what training camp has been like compared to like Camp Cal, first couple practices of, your college career versus your first couple practices of your NBA career.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, honestly, the similarities is both first days, they move so fast. Like, there's so much stuff you don't know. Like, obviously, coming back my second year at Kentucky, like, I knew perfection drill. I knew layup drill. So, when Coach Cal says something, you just get right into it. You already know what's going on. But, drills here, you don't know what they are. The plays, you don't know it. Mm-hmm. So, you just always on the learn, always on the move, trying to stay on your toes. So, for me, that was just the different part. It was not knowing stuff. But as far as, and then the running, we don't run as much. We're already kind of, quote unquote, in shape. We had a conditioning test, but in practice, all that running KP does, that's not happening no more.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest disappointment for KP.
The bet's not going for that.
Yeah.
But it's been great. Training camp so far as we haven't really got to play as much 5-on-5. I think we'll play more tomorrow. But it's been great just being able to learn. I got a good amount of good vets, so it'll be great. Just this whole season, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, and I think you're in a position with the team who has a lot of good young talent to you guys have a good young core. Good changing in the front office. Leon Rose brought in a lot of Kentucky guys.
Yeah.
What's it been like having just your Kentucky family there to support you? How helpful?
It's great. I mean, in the locker room, that's pretty much a lot of our conversations is talking about Kentucky stuff, what it was like to be at Kentucky and how we all got to this position, how we all here together. It's all crazy. So it's cool to have, those older guys. I'm the youngest one, so it's cool to have those guys with me. And I'm just really, like I said, just excited to get started. I'm somebody who enjoys the process just as much as a big time game. So I got a guy, Aaron Brooks, with me as a player, one of my player development coaches. He played under Tibbs. He was a really good scorer. So, it's good to have somebody like that as well.
Yeah, no, you have a great support system. I mean, I think I just saw you guys sign Scal to a training camp contract. So that's now seven guys. You got you, MKG,
Kev Knox,
Nerlens is there, I believe.
Julius,
Scal. Who are we missing?
Me, right?
Yeah, Immanuel Quickley. Yeah. I guess that'll happen sometimes. Man, that's got to be a lot of fun. Just reminiscing on the good old Wildcat days. Speaking of that, what's the thing you've missed the most about being in college, being at UK, playing for Coach Cal?
That's a great question. I think I miss obviously I'm gonna say what I miss probably the most, but I just miss everything as far as Kentucky. It was just like there wasn't a bad, like, you know what I mean? Being in practice was just funny. Coaches to be around. Cal was just funny. You had the fun bunch, you, Zan, and Brent. Like, it was just a fun environment to be around. So
yeah, we just had a lot of people.
Yeah. Like, and then the plane rides after a big win.
Yeah.
It's just all that stuff. The camaraderie is probably the biggest thing that I miss the most.
Yeah. No, that picture we took, I think, on our way to South Carolina.
Yeah.
On the plane. That's still one of my favorite pictures. Just that was just a fun group of guys to be around. A lot of good people.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, but if you had to choose, one thing that you're like, man, I miss that. Like, it's nice being rich and playing for the Knicks and being, super, super, super famous.
One thing.
I go back to my college days.
One thing. I'd probably say our team dinners. Man, so you talk about everything that comes out, it comes out at a team dinner. Everything. People have no idea, like, everything.
Yeah, the freaking milkshake wars of 2020.
Who's like food fights, who smells the worst on the team, who is the ugliest, like, all that stuff comes out at team dinner. Like,
yeah, I don't think people have any idea how often we ate at Cheesecake
Bad, man. Bad.
Oh. Yeah, I think that happened because we beat Louisville, obviously, and we ate at Cheesecake before that game.
Cheesecake every day.
So it just became a ritual. And you're like,
bad, man. They had our food already ready because they knew we had been there so much.
Yeah, no, literally, like every, I think we play Wednesday, Saturday, every or Thursday,
Tuesday, Saturday. Yeah, Tuesday,
whatever it was. Day before, they always knew we're coming.
Monday, Friday.
Yeah, they had our table ready for us, and
I still know what I got every day: orange chicken, white rice, extra sauce on the side, and a milkshake every single time, bro.
Yeah, no, and that's my favorite thing. My favorite story to tell about those things are, Nick. So many guys are getting milkshakes.
Nick, oh man.
Fortunately, we were not on the hook for the tab.
The
program was fine here. And so Nick wouldn't order a milkshake, but like 7-8 other guys would. And so they didn't buy the milkshakes, and they didn't know who was like who. And they get chocolate milkshake, and Nick would go, and just take it. He just, take something.
Nick does do that. I forgot Nick did that. Just take whatever he wanted was his and just call it his.
Yeah. Last little question I'll ask you. Have you spoken to, Nick, Tyrese, Ashton, Nate, my Miss EJ, about their experiences? Obviously, you guys are all going through, transition into the NBA at the same time. It's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I talked to all of them. I was just on the phone with Tyrese not too long ago, but just getting his a perspective from it. Everybody's in different experiences now that we moved on, from Kentucky. So just getting everybody's, perspective. Like I said, everybody's just trying. We all starting over in a sense, and from coming to being a great player at Kentucky to starting over in the league. So it's just a really unique situation, I think, for all of us, and we're just all looking forward to the challenge.
I agree. I mean, I'm so excited. I can't wait to first off, watch you guys play. Wear your guys' jerseys. So I'm a size large. My attributes.
Man, I'll have to sign for you.
But Quick, I appreciate you so much for coming on, taking the time.
No doubt.
My guy, can't wait to watch you this year. Give KP a hug for me and tell him I miss him.
All right.
All right, brother.
Hey, tell Barbie and all them I said what's up.
All right, I will.